a motion and a second to move into public session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to ask everyone to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance, and in a moment after, we'll have a minute of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Mary Jane, can you do the roll call?
Sure. Mr. Mark Manzi. Mr. Gene Midland.
Here.
Mr. Rederick Colby-Carr. Ms. Bridget Villarreal.
Here.
Dr. Adams.
Present.
Ms. Mylene August.
Present.
Ms. Eileen Panico.
Present.
Mr. Mark Warshaw.
Present.
Ms. Jacqueline Alatown-Ferno.
Present.
Ms. Lee Kennedy.
Present.
Ms. Lisa Hutchinson.
Present.
And myself, Mary Jane Pike.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. So, Bridget, I'm going to put you on the hot seat for a second. I might even have to pretend to say your last name. Do you want to say it for us?
Villa Reed Alley. Nice and phonetical. Done.
Okay,
It's going to be Sienna, going from 10 letters to 5. So excited.
beautiful. So would you like to, introducing you to the public, if you wouldn't mind saying a few things about yourself?
Sure. I joined you from the Hempstead Union Free School District. It was a district of 10 buildings, 8,500 students, very large, low economic, socio-economic standards. It was a budget of $221 million, $17 million in grants, had a large staff, transportation not so much. We did not do any transportation for in-district students. It was only parochial, charter, dealt with issues with charter. We have 3 charter schools, or had 3 charter schools in the district. Every single one of those charter schools increased enrollments. And for Hempstead Union Free School District, the tuition for charter school was $19,500 for one student. So we went from $25 million to $43 million. So it was tough, but I'm so excited to be here. Recently, I did a leadership academy through the School Assistant Superintendent for Business Officials Association, and at the very end of it, I was awarded the new School Business Official Leader of the Year award. So really excited to kickstart my career here and be with you all, Board of Education, administration, staff. It's going to be a great year.
So apparently news travels fast, because after the board had hired you, I got a message 2 or 3 days later. You guys, is it true you hired Bridget? And I'm like, how'd you find us out so quickly? Is it? What?
It's on the,
Yeah, well, anyway, somehow it got out that we have hired you, brought you on board, and they said she's a rock star. You guys did great, so just share that with you.
Obviously, you're right.
Okay, you guys are all a rock star, but somebody brought it to my attention who doesn't even live in the district.
There you go.
Okay, so let's move on to, do you have any meetings, changes to the district, to the meeting agenda? Okay, we actually do, we have to
Yeah.
add on to the 20th consent agenda. Okay, we're moving on to the minutes of October 29, 2019, Board of Education. I need a motion and a second. What? I need a motion and a second for the approval of the minutes.
Second.
I'll motion first, Jackie second. We are all in favor except,
No, I abstained because I wasn't here.
okay, Alina's abstention. Okay, I don't see any students for student government. Okay, we're moving on to policy procedure. Okay, we have approval for the first reading.
Second reading.
Okay, you have here approval. Okay, so now we have nothing there. We have an adoption for the second reading.
Where's that one?
Discussion
Lee wants a discussion.
Consent agenda.
on the consent agenda. And once again, I know Arlene said something, but that sentence, individual items on the consent agenda, will not
Lee, can
be,
you talk to your mic, please?
individual items on a consent agenda will not be discussed prior to action. If I want to get information about an item on the consent agenda beforehand, so I can vote on it the day of, I don't see why I couldn't do that.
Of course you can, but that's always been on there, so that's why we crossed it off. And then my revision was so that it's not discussed improperly. That's all I wrote it for.
It doesn't make sense. Can you please look at it?
Look at my revision, not this line. This line was on the original policy.
I know, but
That needs to come off, so that we can discuss it. I agree with you.
So it should come off.
Yes, because it was on the original policy, but we made it a revision.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be on this revision. It should be off.
Is it crossed out? On my copy,
It is crossed out,
already.
yes,
Okay.
because it was on the original policy, and Lee is right. We need to be able to discuss it. But my revision says that we need to be able to discuss it in public. You can get information on it anytime, you can always get information, but to discuss it, it should be discussed in public.
So I think it appears like this.
Okay, mine was not crossed out.
And then they just.
It's crossed out on mine.
So
Okay.
it is crossed out.
It is crossed out.
Mine is not.
But the you can get information anytime you want, but the discussion on the item, on the consent item, should be done in public, because
Okay,
that's
as
the
long
law.
as that was crossed out, that's all I care about.
Well, I want it revised. It's not revised, so I'm gonna say no to this until it's revised to discuss in public.
I thought it said that in the last
No,
paragraph.
it doesn't say it in the last one.
Yeah.
Without discussion, no, it doesn't say. Oh, requires an in-depth, the board member requests the item be removed from the consent agenda. Okay, no, that's fine then. That's fine, remove that line
So
then.
everybody's
That's
on the
fine,
same
yep.
page?
Okay, so,
As long as that's taken off, it doesn't
Yes,
show
it was
that.
on the original policy and it shouldn't have been there.
It doesn't
Yeah,
show
mine's
that.
this is on the list.
Yeah.
is it worded properly, Mary Jane?
Yes.
All right, so I need a motion and a second to approve the second reading.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Before you go on with policy, Lisa,
Yes.
if we gave wording to Greg, it was in a chain of emails, this has been going on for months. How long have I been on policy? Since 2 years. No, yeah, 2 years. Well, but we just changed it now, we had board member support for it, and we still don't have the wording from Greg.
About?
Boards having access to the buildings.
I'll have to talk to Greg about that, because I do believe he responded to that.
And he asked for the wording, and I gave it to him. And he was supposed to check it over, and send it back to Linda. Every time I ask Linda, Linda says it's still illegal. So can we please get it out of legal into Linda so that we can get it on?
I will look at the emails now. I'm not sure if the advice was that.
I don't know if he ever gave us advice after that.
Okay, I'll find out.
Okay.
But it's my understanding the advice was that it wasn't, the language really didn't fit the legal requirements for access to the.
That's not what I got from him.
Okay.
He advised against it, that board members would just be able to go into the buildings, but our community spoke up too. And
They want us
it's
to
a
be able
board decision at this point now, because it wasn't illegal.
Okay, I'll have to talk to him, because there
Okay.
is very clear case law about the board's ability to freely enter buildings as opposed to
It wasn't
other
freely,
members.
that's the difference, there's the
Okay.
problem. It wasn't freely, it was with notification to the building principal or an administrator.
I think that's the way it is now.
No, it is not. I can't get into a building if can't get into a building.
You tell, well, I wouldn't ask them the same day.
Does it,
Call the day before, you call
doesn't matter,
administration.
can you walk into the building? You told Linda right now I'm going over to the high school, you think you can get into the building? Your card don't swipe,
I don't use my card.
I don't have one either.
Well,
I give it
we
in, it
should
doesn't do
have a
anything.
card.
Has my picture on it, I have my picture right here, it's my face.
So, I don't understand. Do you
She
want to
wants to
be
be
able
able
to
to
swipe?
swipe and go in, it's only
Just
this.
swipe?
It's-
We don't, I don't think we
Because
have that
typically it's
privilege.
done with.
Once we're off this board, if I'm wrong, once we're off this board, we walk out into the street,
It's a board vote,
we're a citizen.
it's a board vote, you can discuss it when the policy is on the policy, on
I
the
disagree
agenda,
with
it's not on the agenda tonight, it's
We
a board
don't have, we
decision.
don't have that right.
You can have that discussion when it's on, it's not on there now. I just wanna make sure that it comes out of legal.
But legal, and I think that's where the issue will come in, so we're gonna have to probably have a discussion outside of the public, so we can give you legal advice with regard to it,
Perfect.
because it may not be legal, depending on how it's worded.
Right, well, that's what I said, well, make the wording legal, that's what we told
Make it
them.
so-
And the legal
Make it
word,
legal.
the legal wording may be, upon approval of the Board of Education, an individual may seek permission to have
Fine.
access to the building.
Fine. Fine,
Okay,
that's
so
what I've been saying for the last, how many months have we been saying this?
And when I say permission of the board, not a global policy permission, but for each instance that you want to access the building for a board purpose.
Why can't we do it global?
Why
Again,
should you
let's
do
wait till it
global?
comes out,
Why do you want to do it global?
because Jackie, Mark, and I, and Mylin, and you were here, we all discussed this, we all had a big, long discussion about it. When it's on the agenda, we'll have another big, long discussion about it. Right now, it's not even on the agenda, so I'm good.
Okay, so let's move on. We're moving to public comment. Yes, I didn't expect to see that. This section of the agenda gives the Board of Education an opportunity to recognize person who wish to raise a question or wants to make a brief statement on the agenda matters only. All the topics will be recognized as time allows. So if anybody has a question or concern, feel free to come to the podium.
Great.
Regarding the policy, when I had looked at the,
It's not on.
Turn it on, turn it on.
when I looked at the policy, the agenda online, it had a link for the second reading, the one you just did, but for the first readings, there was no attachment.
There is no first reading.
But there used to be.
No, today there's not. Tonight, there's no first reading. The first reading was last time.
Hello?
That's why. So now we're up to the
Okay.
second reading of this policy. There's no new policy for the first reading.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
then, can it be noted on there then?
No first readings?
Yeah.
There what?
If there was, it would be on.
Or just not there, because it made it look like there was a first reading for a policy.
Ah, I don't know, ma'am.
Yeah, that can be
It's
done.
under second reading.
Okay, thanks, Susan.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just more have a question. I'm happy that we put together the security committee. I really am. I think that it was something that as you guys know, I've been here asking for arming our guards for a very long time. I feel like, I know people say don't listen to hearsay, but I feel like there's a lot being said about it. And I think I'm more concerned with why now. I've been here, unfortunately, Parkland happened. I started a parent committee, I got signatures, over 100 people signed, and I've been here, the thorn in the side, asking for this. And my question is, why now?
Why
What
now
do you
what?
mean, why now?
Why is everybody listening to me now? Like, is there more?
Jackie's on the board.
There's nothing different than it was last year.
Yeah, but
I didn't have
it shouldn't
nothing
matter
going
that
on.
Jackie's on the board, but
No, you have to have a majority, and we didn't have a majority last time.
The truth is,
That's it, that's the truth. We didn't have a majority, didn't put it through. Now you do. People change their minds on the board?
I think people also, they got to see other things, they were able to see more broader, some of the things that are going on throughout Long
Well,
Island.
I think that's more my concern, is there something I know there's
There's
only
nothing
so much we
brewing.
can
There's
be
nothing
shared as
brewing.
parents, but is there more
No,
information now that we're not being?
there's
told?
nothing
That's my
brewing,
concern.
nothing's different, I still don't want it, okay?
I
That's
know,
me
you voiced
personally,
your opinion.
but that's me, and there's
Maybe
no
that
reason
was
why
a-
there's nothing behind the scenes that's going on in this district that we're, in this district, to make us want to do that.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Speaking of the security though, before we get to the next person, but I asked in an email what the process was. Because I was told that it's gotta be a budget vote, or it has to be, a separate vote from the actual budget in May, which is just not true. So it could just, we go into the security line item that we already have, it's not a brand new item, we have security.
Operation, it could go
Right,
operation.
so it could go right into the budget,
Right.
not a separate vote to the public, correct?
No, the board decides that.
Okay, thank you.
A quick question, I don't know if this is the right session to ask. For the last 10 years, we've been asking if we could have a little bit more consistency and continuity across the district as far as the schools go. The elementary school children, they have very different experiences by the time they get to middle school. And while on some level that's wonderful because they bring a lot of different things to the table and we love to see that, there are certain things that simply should be the same across the district.
Can you give us an example?
Well, I've asked for each grade level to have a specific field trip that they would go on. So every kindergartner would go to the library, every first grader would go to maybe the old Bethpage Village. We have a lot of disconnect with this because then we also have the fifth grades that take all different fifth grade field trips. And sometimes it ruins it for the middle school who might have been taking that field trip because it was part of the curriculum, but now they're not going to take it because we have such a large part. And at the end of the day, they are elementary school children. There should be certain things scheduled every single year for those children because I can tell you some of my children have never gone on a field trip in elementary and then I'm sending them on a plane in high school. So it's a little bit of a disconnect there. I feel like we have to build up to that. And I think more importantly, the children need the experience of different things outside of our community. And I think hands-on learning goes hand in hand with that. We speak often about how we're tied to the books and we're tied to the dittos and there isn't a lot of time, but there is a lot of time because there are plenty of teachers, and I know the teachers take it upon themselves to decide. And I know the logistics of going on a field trip. I know it's a lot of work sometimes and it's very stressful, but I think it's worth the payoff when a child can come home from an event and say, oh my goodness, I saw, how they feed the pigs and they explained how it all works and it's more than just a pet and this, just anything that they can come home with where they could learn and have a valuable experience where they can connect what they're seeing on a page to what actually happens in real life. But overall, we need to have each of the elementary schools, and it has to be a part of the requirement. It has to be a part of the curriculum where they're required to do it. It cannot be optional. I am definitely in favor on some level of each principal running their building as they see fit because they do need to have their finger on the pulse of what their immediate community wants and the things that work. Some things might work in one school, might not work in another. It depends on the climate of the school. But I think that there are certain things in curriculum that need to be addressed. Also, we are not preparing our elementary school children for middle school. I know we've discussed this for at least 4 or 5 years now, probably even longer than that, but definitely 4 or 5 years. It's been brought to the district's attention. We've spoken with, no, Dean, you weren't there. Your assistant had come and spoken at one of the elementary schools to see what our concerns were regarding curriculum at our particular school, and it had a very big showing of parents. As the children head forward, what you could do is speak to the 6th grade teachers because they're going to tell you exactly what the deficits are. And it's not because the children are unable to learn, it's simply, I don't think our focus is necessarily only going to the right areas. I think that the children are learning, but there are certain things that they really need and should know by 6th grade. And it's very difficult as an educator, and I'm sure everyone could agree, when you start and you have such a disconnect because you might come from one school and those that they might have worked a lot on, say, science. But maybe they let their ELA work go a little bit more, or maybe this school didn't really work on math, but the other school did. So now you're spending that whole first quarter where children are frustrated, they're adjusting to 6th grade as it is, and it's not a level playing field because they simply weren't fed the information. And I don't blame the teachers. I think that everyone's doing the best that they can. But I think we really need to look at where the deficits are, and I think the best way to do that, in my opinion, would be to speak to the 6th grade teachers and say, you know what, are the kids just not knowing their math facts? Are they having problems with sentence structure? Like, what do we have to do to revamp our curriculum a little bit more and offer better support for our staff and for our families as well, so that these children, when they attend the middle school, they go in as confident young ladies and gentlemen, ready to tackle the work, and they're not spending that first semester saying, oh my goodness, I don't know this. And, a lot of parents are frustrated because they're trying to help their children at home, thinking that they were doing great all along. And they were doing great. They were doing great with the material that they were given, but it simply wasn't enough material or impressed upon enough for them to be a success in 6th grade without all the other stuff. And this has been a problem for years, and I definitely think we've taken strides to help it, but we're still not there yet. And I think that that's a tough thing. It's big enough to adjust to middle school.
The first part, I know at the Arboretum,
Put your microphone on.
I'm still trying to, I worked there at least a couple days.
Yes, one of my children actually went on a field trip there and mentioned, I says, oh, did you see, and then she said, oh, yeah, she was so wonderful, and it was a wonderful trip. They had a great
But
time.
we're trying to do, I'm trying to add a wellness one, and it's free for Connect One, and busing is free, so which makes it easier.
Absolutely.
So I keep adding it on, so, we even gonna have a kindergarten group for the first time come, so,
That's great.
we're making it easy, and they can go to any state park and get a grant.
But I think if we make it where it's required, and I definitely don't feel like we need to be heavy-handed. I'm not that type of person. I really do feel like we need creativity. But I think sometimes you have to lead the way a little bit. And I think the children really need to have these experiences, I think. And I'll be honest, when my oldest started, I was like, no way, I don't want them to ever go on a field trip. You're not going to watch them like I am. But the reality is, they really do need to go. They need to see other things. And it's so important to not just read your curriculum, but to experience it. And there's a lot of different ways that they do it.
Okay, now, the number two part is, Dean, is there a way that you can check at the beginning of, say, sixth grade and find out which groups are strong, if there are any particular, say, Turkey is strong in math and but weak in this, or?
Yeah, I'm just a little shocked to hear that. We've done a tremendous amount of work with our curriculum. We revised our K through 12 math curriculum. We revised our writing curriculum, K through 12 as well. We're in our first year of the implementation of our reading units of study. So we've done a tremendous amount of work. We are constantly...
No, I definitely think you guys have definitely stepped it up 100%.
So we're definitely evaluating the work that goes on in the classrooms. As far as a common experience, I think that's one of the things I think we can pride ourselves on, is that prior to this board and this administration, there was a lot of different things happening in a lot of different classrooms. And there are no, I don't want to do this, I want to focus more on this. We work very strongly with our principals, our schedules that we provide for our teachers, and there is block time for everything that we do. So we do meet with our staff. We do get feedback regarding some of the gaps and weaknesses. It's something we do on a constant basis. And we're always reevaluating and rewriting our curriculum to make sure that it meets the needs of our kids if we are identifying gaps. I'm just, as far as the common experience, I can understand the concern with regards to the field trips. It is something that does vary from school to school, from grade level to grade level. We do have more field trips than we ever have had before. We did provide a lot more of our in-house field trips as well. Our STEM experiences, and I do agree with you with regards to the hands-on and making it come alive for our kids, and I think a lot of our curriculum is based around those kind of experiences in the classroom for students. If the board so chooses that we want to move in a direction where we are regulating the field trips that our schools are going on, and that we are kind of setting some standards at each grade level, that's something we can definitely approach with the administration.
So I'm going to bring up, and I think Jackie, you hit on this one, because I know you have that concern.
I'm not sure, did you guys, I sent an
I
email.
think we've been saying this for years.
You guys got an email?
We have.
Okay.
I know the last
I
meeting
sent an
back in
email
February.
actually this week in regards to the fifth grade trips. Because we're already getting them there tonight. We have one on the consent agenda that you'll see. I think the problem is that we need to start to think about regulating. I don't really love the idea because some schools, maybe their children have already done something like you said or
Right,
something.
but I also think sometimes some of them are more about the parent than the child
Oh, yeah.
too, some of them. I mean, I get it, we all want our kids to have these fantastic experiences, but we also have to think a little bit age appropriate. What does a 10-year-old really want to do, not what you want your 10-year-old
Right. Well,
to do.
I also don't want to hear from parents this year, which I think they have a right to say, that one fifth grade group is going to medieval times and the other one is going roller skating.
Absolutely.
To me, that is not on par. And sometimes these children, their families maybe financially or for whatever reasons, employment, can't go on vacations or can't go to these places. So for these kids, this is their experience. I want kids not to go into middle school saying, I got to do this, what did you guys do? And also, you
Or
don't want
they
to
can't
do
afford to
things.
go to medieval times because it's a $100 field trip.
Right, but then find something that is regulated across district and that we find that the parents are happy with and that we can do. I mean, I know that last year we had spoken about some schools wanted to send out, I think it was 3 to 5 choices. They were gonna pool their fifth graders. Am I wrong? I think that was one of the schools did it.
Unless we don't do that with your school.
I think Cherokee was gonna do it this year too.
Probably by school, you didn't do that as a district.
No, I think we had spoken about it. I don't know if it was me and Dr. Adams or me. I know they spoke to, I think it was me. I thought that was something that we had spoken about with you.
I know last year when we spoke about medieval times, and I really thought that by having our discussion last year, that it would have changed this year. And I believe this conversation's been had for over 2 years, that I have 2 children, not one of them went to medieval times. I don't know if they still.
And I think we have changed that practice with medieval times. We had some redundancy happen, and that doesn't take place.
So then why isn't it on
Now nobody
this
goes.
way?
No, the fifth graders.
One of my kids went, that's it.
I just think if we're gonna do
Again,
it,
it's a choice that the building makes, their staff makes about the field trip that they're taking. If it's something that we want to explore further, where we're looking at it, I just think we would need to have, everybody's voice in the room, and it would definitely have to involve, council as well, because of some of the regulations.
that's fine. I'm just saying, I think that you can't have one school doing medieval times in fifth grade and the other school doing roller skating. I'm just using last year, but it's unfair to the children going into, they should have a similar experience. If it's all the country fair, then it's all the country fair. If it's all, I just think that I was told, and I don't remember by who, but I was told that the reason they stopped going to medieval times wasn't redundancy, it was because something about they go in middle school. That's what I was told.
Sometimes they go in middle school, because it's more than
I don't know if that's true.
It was because the same kids went on the trips once.
Right, okay, that's what they
So
said.
that we kind of stopped that.
But the problem is then you have the kids who never get to go on it, and the kids that their fifth grade experience. I'm just saying, I'm going more of what we're gonna go over tonight, whereas that's what I sent an email this week just about this.
So I think if we look at one grade level, and if, maybe focus on that for now, and see how that goes, and we work with just our fifth grade and some.
Well, it's also gonna come up, I think, in eighth grade, because if I'm not mistaken, there's a trip for the eighth graders in OBMS. Does Ronkonkoma Middle School go on that same trip?
They go on a different eighth grade trip.
I don't know.
They go to Split Splash.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Okay, so I'm not trying to be I'm really not, I really would like to see
No,
everybody
I
go on the
just
same
think
kind of
that,
trip.
I get it, it's not that we're saying nobody should go on trips, it's just that you could be like, I live in this super field trip school, my kid gets all these experiences, and then you could be in the school where your kid goes to the library once for 30 minutes, and that's your kid's experience over school. It stinks
That's
for the
right.
kids.
It's not really fair to send one group on an overnight trip, and that's a good experience. I know I did that when I was in eighth grade, when I was in high school.
That's a small group.
No, I don't think this one is. This one is 175, I think.
The overnight.
That's the National Junior Honor Society.
No, this one that I have in front of me is OBMS. It's right here. It's the end of year trip.
It's one day.
Oh, it's one day? Okay.
Yeah.
But they're going on a decent trip that's out of state versus our other group going to Split.
You know what, RMS, actually, if you want to compare things, RMS does a fantastic job with their on-society trip.
Yeah, that's right, that's.
Yeah, we don't, OBMS doesn't have an on-society trip where you guys do.
But that's what I'm saying.
You know what, I don't want to take this further on topic, if we can add this to a consent,
Yeah.
actually add this to a discussion on the next board agenda,
That'd be good.
and then maybe, Dean, you could put some,
That'd be good question, thank you.
together for the board?
One quick question, I'm not gonna name where. Some of the classes, grade levels do not have textbooks and they need them, and they're making an absurd amount of copies to give the kids handouts. You guys need to look into moving that along a little bit faster.
All right, so after the meeting, or maybe email and text, Dean? Mary Jane, you have for the next consent,
Yes.
discussion?
about.
We're still good? I have a question, more so for Dean, I believe. Our health curriculum, is it getting rewritten, or when will it be?
Yes, we were, I'm going to be handing out to the board the plan for some of the movement of ninth grade that will be presented at the next board meeting in December.
And the curriculum for
Yes,
9 through 12 was rewritten, or K through 12?
Right now, they're focusing on, I think it's working on the high school curriculum, and then moving it down towards the middle school and the elementary.
Okay. I also came from the library next door. They were running the Stop the Bleed seminar, workshop over there. Wondering if we're going to be running the workshop for our students, in the high school at least.
We had discussed that as part of the new health lab work, and then incorporating that into the physical education classes. You can actually teach that. We can talk to, it'll come out in the next presentation with Mr. Lori, Mr. Lori will be giving a presentation at the next
The next board meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, we're moving on to Schedule 1, resignations, terminations, leaves of absence. I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to Schedule 2, appointments, tenure, salary changes. I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second, all in favor? Okay, we're moving on to recommended action, financial. Okay, we have items 1 through 8. So let's go budget transfers. I need a motion and a second.
You do not do
Any
no
questions?
Budget.
Budget transfers.
Wait, are you clear? A motion second on all of them, and then any questions?
Yes, yes,
That's what you're doing.
yes. So I need a motion and a second for items 2 through 8, and we can have a discussion. So a motion.
Second.
All right, any questions?
Can we, on the budget, when we start doing the budget this year, I'd like to know how many transfers. When you show the budget items from last year, when you do the rollover budget, the category will say, for example, instructional BOCES was for, let's use the next round number, $100, and then we transferred out $50. I want to see that the budget should have been $50. And the way it's on there now, it just shows adjustments. And those adjustments could be payables, it could be transfers, it could be anything. So I'd like to see the transfers separately. Please. That's the only question I have.
Any other questions? 2 through 8?
Yeah, I don't think so. Hold on. No, I haven't asked that question, it's on the list here. Wait a minute, this one.
I think mine was just about the school. Did we find anything out about the school stuff, the school lunches? Did we find anything?
I did actually put it on here.
You did it, I did.
Yeah, December, okay. We'll just close this out first.
Well, I have one question, The question I have is, hold on, I'll find it. It's checking your money market accounts. I know you answered me in this, the district will be working with someone else, another bank. I know the Fed fund rates dropped, and I know when it goes back up, we get the money. But I'm looking at these reports, and I'm still seeing in checking and money market accounts of different banks that say 0.25, and some will say 2.25, and all different amounts. If we're going to 2.25, say JP Morgan, then transfer the accounts over there and get 2.25. These are liquid accounts, they're not CDs. You can access the money all the time. We're losing a lot of interest. Ray brought this up when he was interim on the board. And it's been, how many months since Ray's been gone now?
There were actually significant changes made with Mrs. Donnelly.
I don't see them on the board.
After Mr. Carr had requested that.
I still see 3 or 4 that have 0.2 something.
It's Mrs. Villarreal's first day, so I think
That's a
we'll
priority.
be moving
You
forward.
can get rid of that. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, can we close this out? Hold on.
Let me just make sure I don't have any more questions. Okay, it's October. And I'm just gonna say this to the public. Every October, well, it's November now, but every October I usually ask, which I forgot the last meeting, what amount that we had in the budget that was not used, appropriated but not used. And past it's been 15%, and I've stood up there yelling, screaming with 4%. We're at 4.1%, so we're still over, but we are significantly down. So, I'm happy to see that, but it's still like between 3 and 4%. So we have to work on that. And then I have school lunch fund. That's it, right there. Yep.
And do we have all in favor?
Right.
I did ask that it be added to this agenda about bringing in the consultant in for the,
We're going to lunch fund now?
yeah, because it's not on the consent agenda, so I don't know why it wasn't on a discussion item, but, or even added to the consent agenda.
Okay.
So why can't we just,
You can have discussions, but I don't know the contracts, I don't know how much it would be, or.
if I recall, it was 5,000, am I
Yeah.
correct?
Yep.
So that contract should be sitting around somewhere. We took option 1, which was the
$1,000 with no financial audit.
Correct, but now we're gonna move, I'd like to move to phase 2 of that contract and have her do a more in-depth audit.
So I will send you, I will contact her and send you an updated contract, and you can see what you are asking for is in that contract.
Okay.
And I'll put that in FYI, we can
Also-
discuss it the next time.
You said that the audit management letter had the information that I wanted, but it doesn't. It says revenues and expenses, but it doesn't say what we budgeted.
It's
What-
right here.
Which line?
Operating transfer in, transfer budget.
So why are we budgeting so low? If we know that we need more money, why are we not budgeting enough?
Well, Sharon will have answer for that.
Okay.
She's not, so we know what we're looking up and what we're up against, so that will go into this year's budget.
Okay, because obviously we're not budgeting enough. When we know that we're low on something, we do transfers, we do this, we do that. But if we know every year that we're short, we should budget accordingly. Because now it makes it look like we're short $385,000 when it's really a budget issue. We really just underestimated the budget.
Well, then that's why I want the,
So that line item should be higher and shown to the public as $500,000 instead of $250,000.
yeah, but she's basing that on the projections from years prior. So if you're and I would assume
And
that
every
she.
year we're a big percentage.
No, and I would assume that she would have taken some things into consideration, but if she's doing trending, which I'm assuming that's what she's doing, she's doing
But the
trending.
trending is wrong. I mean, if you're doing the trending, you see that you're losing money every year, you see that you're underestimating. So we can't underestimate. We have to show the public the truth, which is close to the actual figure. I mean, that's a big amount to be underestimating.
Well, you're still in the lunch fund, right?
Yes, that's a big amount, right?
Yeah, but,
Well, that works that dollar amount, that's a big amount.
absolutely it's a big amount, and the reason why, you know what, where I hear what you're saying about allowing that to be the projection and allow that 350,
Because they're still transferring the money in anyway.
but the prior year, we were short $200,000.
Right.
The prior year, we were short 1 and change.
That's a big amount.
So actually, if we did it the other way, I wouldn't have known that there was a $3,500, I'm sorry,
It's not really a deficit because we didn't budget, right? You can't say that.
But-
What you're
but-
saying to the public is that we're losing this amount of money. We're
Yeah,
not,
but
we're
we
just
are.
underestimating the expense.
No, but you know what?
Yes, we're losing that full amount of the budget.
It's not so, it's
If
not.
you budget $150,000 for something and you spend it, the public knows that that was the budget line item. When you budget $150,000 for something and you spend $450,000, you're not really telling the public the truth of what's on that number.
Okay, and then the lunch program, really, in a perfect world, should be self-sustaining, where no budget should be going into.
Correct, but it's
budget
not.
transfer.
So we're working on
But
it.
what this will become,
Wait a second, so we're working on that, let me finish what I'm saying. We're working on making it self-sustaining, but until we do, the public should know exactly how much it is in a budget on a line item.
Yeah, but how was I able to look it up? I took the revenue and minus out the expense, I knew right away
Yeah,
there was.
because we get those
No
reports.
matter what the budget transfers are, you're gonna still see the deficit. The budget transfers, obviously, to
But
close
we
the
shouldn't be
deficit.
transferring from an operating budget. We shouldn't be transferring from an operating budget. It should be a budget line item. And it should be the correct amount.
Should
So
be.
you
It should be closer. It's still
Closer.
an estimation,
Right.
but it should be closer. I agree with
That
that.
$385,000 is a big for me number to be,
So then.
and you brought that up.
Yes, and I think the bigger question is, Bridget, if you can, see what last year's expenditures and revenues compared to this past cycle, the whole cycle, So it's not this year we're talking about, we're talking past 2 prior years. What were the expenditures, what were the revenues, what were the budget transfers for, we'll even take this back in 3 years. I'd like to do it 3 years.
Yeah.
How about that, make it even and out, 3 years.
But that is your budget.
No, but each line, you know, these are totals. What was spent on, the food? What was spent on, saran wrap, you know, incidental? I don't know how you have it categorized in the budget, but each one has its own budget. You have, the food service workers, they have their own line in that budget line. So I'd like to see, so say we spent, and I'm gonna use you, Lisa, because you're sitting right there. Say we spent $100,000 on food service workers in 1 year, and then all of a sudden, we hired 4 more people, and now we're up to $150,000. I wanna know where that difference is coming from. Not just these totals aren't telling me anything. I wanna know, is it the food, did the food go up? Maybe 1 year we spent $100,000 on
why
food,
you gotta-
and next year we spent $200,000 on food.
Just get a better idea of
Yeah.
what's going on.
Well, isn't that the whole idea for, get the girl to come in?
Yeah, but we can do it, yeah.
You can do it without it.
Why did I spend $5,000 to do it?
Okay, she's taking away from her job, and she's gonna do visual
And that is part of our job.
So
The money.
So Mr. Light, before he left, did a pretty good job in pulling exactly what you're talking about. So we have a document that we can start from.
Okay.
It talks about revenues from typing lunches, breakfast sales, other cafeteria sales, interest in earnings, commissions, miscellaneous revenue. So we have, and then the expenses, he's got our full cook manager, those overtimes, the food service workers who are 19.5
Just
hours.
overtime?
Overtime just clerical and cook manager.
Not regular salary?
That's in one line.
Okay.
And then he's got food service workers who are 19.5 hours and their overtime.
Okay.
There was also $27,000 in retro in 1819 because we settled the contract. So that was kind of a bump up.
Well, that makes it's different, but that's only 27,000 out of 385.
Of course, right. So, but he began to do this kind of analysis while he was still here, so it gives Ms. Biliali a way to do that.
So that's to do the 5,000?
I don't know, I think.
So let me put the contract on your FYI, the ones from last year.
Okay.
You can look at it and say, we want this, we don't want this, we want other things, we don't want other
Is she
things.
gonna do it like that?
No, she wouldn't do this because she's not an accountant. So this would be something that she would look at the operations and see.
Okay.
So I will put that in, you can tell me what that looks like, I'll go back to her and I'll say, if this is what they want, they don't want this, what would that cost, and then you can discuss it at the next
All right.
board meeting.
And then I'd also like this finished out, that was the.
Did you put this in FYI?
And again, we have to get that budget line item on. So that
Yeah, this is what I wanted to see.
Okay.
Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to see. At least this is a step off.
I mean, if Ed looks at the budget, he wants to see that the budget line item for that is $400,000. Oh, it's not self-sustaining, he can come up here and say, why are we spending $400,000? That's fine. But he shouldn't say, why are we spending $100,000 and then you're transferring in another $300,000?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, that the estimation was off.
Okay, can I ask for something now?
But it doesn't, but
I'm
it
using
doesn't,
round numbers. I'm
yeah,
using
but you know what, you're putting lipstick on the pig. You're still trying to cover up.
No, not this, not.
Well, we did,
not
but
like-
she did surface. She did the
Oh, the
surface.
$1,000 one, that was to compare programs, that wasn't to do the actual budget. We didn't pay her to make money to do the actual. Right.
Dr. Adams,
This is more of an auditor.
can you do some sort of survey for schools of our size? How much money they lose every year in the lunch program also? So we can see if we're an anomaly or if this is normal, which I really
We've done
think
that already.
it's normal.
Jill said that if this is reasonably typical, she saw that.
I know, but you know, the way it's portraying to the public right now, we're the ones, we don't know what we're doing. We have all this over expenses. We don't know what, we have to wait. We have to fix equipment maybe. We have to do this. We have something new. We don't have something new. But the line item is so high. In Connecticut, it's also high. In Three Village, it's also high.
I'd like to see their budget, I'd like to see their
So
budget
I
and
would
their
like to
transfers.
see, so the community will know we're not an anomaly. We need to have faith.
And do they have managers, the other districts?
Right, or are they part of the co-op?
Are
That
they-
co-op?
Yeah.
So if they have a food service company or if they're self-sustained,
Correct. I mean, I know Brentwood and CI, and Lion Edge, those districts, they get a lot more funding than we get for this lunch program. So those districts I don't want to hear from. Because their aid is way higher than ours. I mean, of course they're going to be self-sustaining. Of course they are. I don't want to know about that.
The people we play against, you know,
Right.
section 100.
Right.
Yeah, but this number, I mean, we're, you know, I keep being a broken record here, but if our enrollment is declining and our expenses in this department are increasing,
Right.
you know, it's like,
It's also like 600.
I did know it says it right.
Winston's is doing almost $200,000 more in sales than Class A lunches, which are full lunches.
Full price.
Full price lunches.
So you're bringing in more revenue, but more loss, so, you know,
Right.
so,
So we got to figure that out.
yeah. All right.
And we have to be more accurate.
And I will also send you the contract that was written, and you can take a look at it and tell me what you want to change. We can go back to the
Perfect.
and find out what that would be.
Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so we're moving on to consent agenda. We have items
We just need
1 through 20. I need a motion and a second, and then for discussion.
motion.
We did add on number 20, which is an MOA. So I need a motion and a second before we have discussion. I'll second the motion. Questions, Eileen?
Well,
I got a question.
you want to go first?
Yeah, Jackie.
Well, my questions are number 5, number 10, number 11, which is what we discussed. Which is, how are we coming up with saying yes? And how are we gonna make things a little bit more unified across the district for at least elementary and the middle schools?
That's a good question.
I mean, especially the elementaries. The middle schools, I can almost understand if they want to do similar but different experiences. The elementaries, there's seven elementary schools, and they do 7 different things. Sometimes 2 do one of the same thing, especially as their final trip out of the, it should be something that is significant for those children moving up, something celebrated, and it should definitely be something that not one school does something better than the other.
So I actually have a question. So OVMS has their end of the year trip. Does RMS have the end of the year trip? They have one as well. Now, I see the difference here is that RMS, I heard they do a beautiful job with the honor society, where OVMS does not have that same opportunity. So right there, it's an imbalance.
There's a lot of inequities between the 2 middle schools. Food service workers being one of them. RMS is part-time, OBMS is full-time. That is true. It's on the thing.
They're all part-time.
Well, they have more, I'm sorry. They have more people. They have more people than RMS, sorry.
If you look at the video on the layout,
Yeah,
it was broken down by buildings.
That's right. yeah, and they have more food service workers.
Do they have no children?
I don't think so.
I don't know, that's what I'm saying.
I just look at it like you have 7, like especially with the elementary stuff, you have 7.
Yeah.
You have 7, I don't know how they come up with all different
Dean,
things.
can I ask a question? Dean, and I'm being honest, we're very, how do you think the teachers are gonna feel about this, being dictated to, what they have to do? Truthfully.
It's the kids, they should have the same learning experience. If we're all in the same district, you can't say,
These are different
Lisa can't say my
I
kid
asked you a
one.
question, not you.
I think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. I think that there are some historical things that have taken place that people generally tend to follow what they've done. You have some staff who are more willing to, and this is nothing positive or negative, planning a trip and organizing and the funding and all of that is a tedious amount of work. And my fear is that we start dictating certain things, then they'll step away from facilitating those types of trips.
Here's the thing,
You have to remember that the only trips that the board approves are out of state or overnight. So we have a lot of students going on field trips throughout the school year to the library, to arbors, to the arboretum, to our outdoor education programs, and all of it is, when I look at it, it's a very rich experience, and I'll provide you the spreadsheet of all the trips by grade level so that you'll have that. But I think it's, I think it's a conversation where all the voices have to get in the room so that we can come up with a plan that everybody can live with.
The problem is, I think that you have to start getting these people to start listening also to the community. And the community being that the parents of all these fifth graders, let's say, if we're going with one age group. Because what I'm talking about, I guess, is number 5. No, I'm sorry, correction, number 11. So, number 11, I have no problem, I think that's a great trip. I actually went on that trip with my daughter a few years ago. So that's what I'm saying, schools switch it up. But they shouldn't be switched up so much so that one is an actual trip and the other is something I would go do any other day.
And I completely understand that, and that's something that we have discussed. Cherokee was a school that participated in medieval times, but because of the fact that the 6th grade was also doing it, we were asked by the board to not have Cherokee go. So
But does it,
that was previous, several years ago. So we have allowed it now to happen because it's not happening at the middle school, so there's no redundancy. But if it's something, again, I can sit with building principals, we can see if we can come up with some sort of,
I just don't want to see what happened I think it was last year, where we had a couple of children that we have to also think of as children with special needs or any issues. Picking something that is so physical, like I'm using that school as roller skating, isn't exactly what I would think of a 5th grade trip. And it's not really meant for all children, because what about the kids who can't physically do that?
yes,
And
I
they
think,
can't participate, it's not really fair.
in reflecting, I think that's a trip that they probably won't plan again. I think that they've heard the feedback from the community, and I'm sure that as they move forward with the planning for this year, it's going to be a little bit of a different experience for students.
Well, hopefully across the board for all the different elementaries.
I will work with the buildings to try to use it. As far as the curriculum, the curriculum is set by New York State. We work on our curriculum. The field trips are an extension of the experience that students have in the classroom, and it varies by grade level and by building. We try to provide equity, and we do our best to do that, but we'll continue to work at that.
Thank you.
It's my turn now, or you
Yes,
guys?
yes, it's your turn.
Okay. On the, I turn it. On the consent agenda. That's not consent agenda. Oh, this should have been for the other one, okay. This should have been for the, I don't have anything on consent agenda. Oh, I want to pull, I know what I want to do. I want to pull those for a separate vote.
Which one?
What you talked about in a second. Here it is.
You have to give me out.
I'm trying to find the next sheet, it shows me where I am. There we go. There's my papers. All right, so number 2, number 3, and the one we ended on. And number 20, 2, 3, 20. That's what 3 separate votes. Yeah, the MOAs, all the MOAs.
So it's 2, 3, 20.
Right.
Blank for separate vote. Or you
No,
take-
wait, and number 8, and that question on that.
All right, so you want to answer the question first?
Yeah, let me ask the question first, right, pull that one. So, on freshman awareness, they have a problem that this is not going to be an overnight event. Back in July, we approved stipends based on this being a 24-hour event. And now you're telling me that it's going to be a 3-hour training, 1:30 to 11, and then a 2-period assembly. First of all, why is it not an overnight event? We heard the feedback from the parents in all the prior years. The kids love it, they get a lot out of it, it's a great event. Mylin and I have been here, have been there. Mylin actually helped our child many times. I helped outside, now I was in the rooms. It's an amazing experience. Why are we making this? Why are we taking this away from the children? And then, to what Mark said, we approved a stipend for 24 hours. Are we still paying them for the 24 hours? If they're not doing 24 hours? And how many other times do we do that now?
My understanding is the freshman awareness, the 2 items that are not taking place is the actual sleeping over and the
That's the
breakfast.
best part of it.
And I think that was a choice that was made by the advisor and the building principal.
That's not what I'm
So the,
We can look at that.
Didn't they say they didn't get enough teacher
It
participation?
was last year, that's bull, because there was plenty of participation.
And I think the event is running as it was last year, so the same schedule as last year.
I don't,
so wait, are we doing this? I was on the impression this was an overnight, so it's not an overnight.
It is not an overnight.
And you're saying the advisor for this club or?
I'm saying my understanding is that this came from the building. Now, whether it's the building principal determining this, whether it's the building principal and the advisor determining this, whether it's just the advisor, I can't say, but I'll find out. Who made the
I'm not
determination.
approving anything for freshman awareness until I know what it is in its entirety.
And what about the pay structure?
If the board agrees, they could have us go back and renegotiate.
I would rather it be an overnight event than not have to do that.
And we can renegotiate the pay structure, so it's
So they would be
an hourly
paid as an
rate.
overnight.
So wait a minute.
I don't know how it was structured, but we could go back to renegotiate to have it paid as an hourly event.
So
How are you gonna approve speakers if it's not overnight?
The speakers actually came at night anyway. There was an additional speaker in the morning, but most of the event at night were speakers. You did have your home rooms where their family rooms.
But if I approve this now, it looks like I'm approving the whole process of cutting a good program for kids.
So last year,
This is
we sat and
suggesting
had the
this
same
is
discussion, and we did not have enough chaperones to do overnight. There's
That's
currently,
not true, Linda. That is not true that there were not enough chaperones.
there weren't, and there
No.
also are not enough chaperones right now that would sign.
I'll volunteer.
We had to actually put
And I
out.
mentioned there's many people in this room that are volunteering.
I'm gonna just finish speaking. So the truth is that there were not enough chaperones even now for the event till 11 o'clock at night. We had to actually go out and repost and reopen the posting in order to have it, and hopefully get enough chaperones to even do the event as scheduled, never mind the overnight.
Because people are told not to volunteer.
And
that's
I
bull.
don't tell them that, because that really does hurt kids.
It happens,
So-
right?
so-
It's hurting the kids.
So, you know what, I'm hearing he said, she said, maybe he, she said what, whatever. I want to hear from the horses now. So either you bring in, so I'd like
Bring
to
it both.
bring it both. Bring the both advisor and the,
The event is November 22nd. The next board meeting is when?
December.
Right, so you don't have time, so you have to decide.
this is usually done in February.
No, it's usually done in November. Last year we did it in February because we couldn't get enough chaperones to go overnight. So we moved the event into February, but generally it happens in November.
But I've been
because
asking
kids
this for
are-
months and months about this overnight event. I asked it at other board meetings, 24-hour thing. Why is it at the last minute?
It's not last minute.
It is, because I asked months ago.
Last year that we weren't going to do an overnight event.
And I kept asking why.
Wait a
Because
minute,
we didn't have enough adult chaperones.
That's
And I'm not
not
talking about
true.
people I'm talking people who are fingerprinted and who can really be in the rooms with our children when they're sleeping. Not volunteers.
so wait a minute, this is November 22nd.
We have to have an emergency board meeting.
Wait a minute, have I seen any advertisement for this? I haven't seen any advertisement for this.
I didn't see it.
I don't understand the question.
You're a freshman?
Was it put out to the freshmen that there was gonna be November
It
22nd?
was, Jenny's saying yes.
They had a meeting today, they got the paperwork today, the freshmen.
So they know as of today that it's not gonna be an overnight event.
I think they knew before today, today the official paperwork came home. I think
Well, we talked about
we
it.
did know since last year that it was no longer an overnight event, I will say.
They signed up to help. Can we find out why it is that there always have been an abundance of
That's not a true statement.
But why?
It's not a true statement.
It is.
Mr.
It
Murtha
is.
had to direct people years and years and years ago to come and be chaperones. So I know that everybody thinks that we're telling tales out of school, but the truth of the matter is there
How many
is
do you
always,
need?
excuse me?
How many do you need?
Fingerprint chaperone.
It's quite a few.
How many, just give me a number.
Is it one name?
I would be making up a number and I'm not
Do you,
doing that.
do you know the number that we actually need? Just type it.
No, I don't.
It's on the post.
I'm just curious why the teachers won't do
I wanna know how many guys.
what they did.
I just wanna know if
They
it was
did. He was, if you asked Mr. Murtha, he used to have to direct people to do it. There was
Give me a photo, I wanna
wasn't
vote.
ever enough volunteers. It's an overnight thing.
So if he directed people to do it, then why didn't the union leave us?
They had a different relationship with their principal.
I wonder why.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
Yeah, it's hurting kids. That's a program, an event that is phenomenal
You can't even table this because this is already running up. This is next week.
Can't table it.
Can't table it.
I'm gonna abstain, hold it for a second vote.
Hold for a second. What numbers am I
That's
calling?
what
Freshman.
I want to
For
change.
years.
What about pay?
15?
We're gonna pay them for a full, for an overnight?
No, that we don't have to do. That we can say that.
We just do this.
You can't pay them for an overnight, that's illegal if they're not, if they're only
I'm gonna
working
be
3
honest, I don't
hours.
remember the conversation about paying them for an overnight.
But it's a
event.
stipend.
Yeah,
Right,
it's stipend.
it's a stipend
Stipend.
for the
For an
event.
event that was 24 hours.
But it was the
And
planning
Civic.
that would involve, it was all of the work that would involve for the event to take place. I don't remember it ever being the
But now
fact
it's only
that
9 hours.
we gave us the largest event. But
You're still going from 24 hours.
we have
to
no
like-
problem going back and
Even 12.
What is the stipend, 5,000?
No, you're not approving a
That's what we
stipend.
started at. It's up since then because the contract is approved it.
Ooh, so that's, so the stipend is more than 5,000?
Sure.
Yes.
The con- all the salaries and contracts are covered by
It's
percentage.
more than $5,000, the stipend.
So we were paying, how many people for it?
I believe there's 2 advisors, they split that stipend, and they also run the Connecticut Civic Association.
They
So
get
they run,
5,000 each?
no,
No.
it's a
they
stipend that's
split.
split.
The food,
It's 9 hours each.
And the Connecticut Civic. It's more than just that.
But they've done that too.
27 teachers and 8 support staff are needed.
And how many wait, 27 and 8 support, and how many we have?
That's just for the day event, that's not the night event. We didn't even go for that.
27 teachers, and how many do we have signed on now?
Not 27, I have to repost the position.
So you have an event that's, let's say, 12
Next week, and we still don't even have it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, so you don't even have enough people to fund this event, and you haven't telling kids November 22nd? How's that possible?
Good question. There are people on the agenda tonight who are being approved.
No, yeah,
And I
that
don't-
but it's not enough, it's not 27.
And this is part of some of the discussions that I had in the FII was that we were gonna have to put people on in December that were going to be approved retroactively for appointments.
because you're hoping to get people.
That's what it
Now
sounds
we're
like.
We need to get
Because we don't have enough, right?
They'll get them at the end, so you make a little drama here, guys, come on.
So if you get them at the end, then do the overnight, you'll get them at the end. We'll
No,
approve it
that's
retroactively.
That's different. You make-
Well, it's the
double
same thing, it's
You have to get
6
double
one
the
half
amount of
dozen the other.
people.
You know, I think, I could have sworn I've asked for a survey about the kids, what they would like to
Absolutely, you
see,
did.
how they would like to see this event. You know, I asked for a lot of things. I think I'm gonna be like you. I'm gonna start writing stuff down because I'm getting older, and I do ask for a lot of stuff. And then when the thing comes up, I know I asked for it, but I don't see it.
If it comes up again.
Yeah. So you know what?
There's several things that have to come up.
I asked for a survey on this with the kids. What would they like to see this program? Because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be servicing our kids.
But Marlene, they won't even know because they haven't experienced like.
You can
I
do
know
it
some of my
10, 11,
kids,
and 12.
I had to force them to go. And then
No, but the
they
10,
were
11, and 12 graders, you can survey them. Was this a good event? Would you consider this event to move forward?
survey the kids that
We'd
have
love to.
gone through.
Absolutely.
You're acting like you want to postpone.
Am I wrong?
We would love for this to
So
move forward.
that's the rumor. The rumor mill is that there is someone in that high school that wants to pull the plug on this event, and that's bold. He's actually come here and said that he doesn't want to do it, so it's not like I'm even saying anything, and that's taken away from the kids. I don't see what the motivation is to take away from the children. It's a good program. It's a good event.
You need staff.
I just, my voice went up on that. Has anyone who had a kid go through this event come home and complained about it?
You need the staff.
No.
This is about staffing, it's not about the kids. I mean, it's about the kids, but it's about the staffing. You need the staffing to have the program.
Every year,
So discouraged.
in the last 5 years, I said we need the staffing. Every year we've done it, and it's come through.
Building it up, you know.
Yeah, but if you can't get the staff, you can't have the program.
Well, then how are you gonna get it right, so then we can't do it to the 22nd, because we don't have the staff?
Well, you can't, that's double the
This was an
amount.
argument a couple of meetings ago because they were talking about
It was 6
changing
years.
it months ago.
We were
Yes, I
having,
brought it up
I didn't know
every
it was, I thought it was a day.
And
I didn't know it was, I thought, thinking it was overnight.
We're already over 14 short.
They said they were going to, and I said, and I told
We're
them,
14 sure, how we,
Nobody
how do
ever
you
came
guarantee
here and
that?
said they didn't want the event. Nobody ever said they didn't
no,
want
it should be an open event, a full event.
I didn't get that at all.
That it shouldn't be an overnight event.
If they're not getting the volunteers for the events, or
We're not-
the chaperones.
Because we're not getting them for the day event either now.
You want to cancel the whole thing then?
No, I don't want to cancel it at all. I want it the way it was, where these kids had a great experience. Why would I want to cancel something that great for the kids? Did you not hear me?
But they can't, they're having a hard time for the day.
Well, that's what I'm asking. How are you gonna do it?
They'll do it.
All right, so then let's do it for the night. They'll do it.
They're short 14 now, how are they doing it?
So then they
Then you push it to February.
decision.
You push it to February then. Again, like we did last year. And the kids get the chance to have the
You know
overnight
what the
event.
only problem is that without getting board approval, they already went out and started marketing this. Kids are already walking home with flyers.
They didn't stay overnight last year either. Last year it was the same exact thing. They did not stay overnight. I had a freshman last year too. They did not stay overnight last year.
Freshman awareness wasn't overnight last year?
No, it's not there, Eileen.
Last year was the first year
It
they
doesn't
stopped.
need to be overnight to do what you want it to do. It needs to be a great event. Right now, we're still missing 14 people just for the night. So it doesn't need to be overnight to do what you want to do. You want to break down kids, the barriers between kids. You want to let them feel included in the high school. You want to give them some good choices and some really motivational speakers that get them excited and have them
What
think.
happens if we don't get the other 14 teachers?
Then they'll probably put them in slightly smaller groups to do the family circles. Or they'll do something in bigger groups. That's probably.
So let me ask you something. So if you can't get the 14 teachers, does that mean that Costa sits in a room, Hanson sits in a room,
Your
all
administrators?
all your administrators?
That's a good question. I don't know that answer.
So, I mean, I would think that you have a shortage, they should be sitting in rooms.
I don't know that answer.
So there, I just found you 5 people.
There you go, so there you go. Move on.
So now we.
They'll find the people.
Okay. For a non-overnight event, it's much easier to say to someone, look, you'll be out by 11 o'clock. You work with the kids that you're going to see every day in the building for the next 4 years. The overnight event adds an additional stress on on the teaching staff, on the support staff to stay overnight and stay awake. Because someone's got to stay awake while everyone else is sleeping. So,
They had separate shifts.
All right, so I think we're at the line right now because these kids are already.
I got you.
they're already-
But I want to know that.
So I want a survey, I want a survey.
Yeah, I want that survey, so I want to see
Just
that.
so that I'm clear, so we're doing a survey. And what other things?
We're definitely changing the pattern.
Do you want?
In the future, can we have the high school principal send us this before he sends out?
He has.
No, he didn't send out, we didn't get this, because we have spoken about this in depth at like 3 meetings over the summer.
When the
Several,
first
yes.
plan was established, he did send a report to the board about what he was looking to do.
Right, we were-
And I complained to that.
And then
Yeah, you wanted to do it in
shifted,
August.
And then we
In
resent,
August, right.
and he resent what the plan was.
No, he wanted to make freshman awareness and orientation the same thing. And it was separate stipends. That was that big
he
discussion.
wanted 4 events. He wanted an event each marking period. So one in August and then one in the first marking period, one in the second, one in the third. That was shorter events that were during school day and went through dinner. They would have dinner together. And the board did not like that plan.
No,
So he went back to the one day of
not
freshman awareness. It worked out really beautifully last year, and it was the same issue we were up against. We did not have enough chaperones to do the extra work. And overnight, he was having fewer people sign up than this.
But
And
I
that's
think
what,
I think moving forward, I think the best thing to do is have both the building principal and the chaperones who are organizing the event come to the board.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Yep.
Thank you, Dean, I appreciate that.
And not only that, but then we also have to talk about that stipend. Because the stipend's been the same from an overnight to a regular day, and
If
that's,
the board is okay with this, we can leave it as it is for right now, and then
Yes,
we can
I think
negotiate.
we're
I
not
already approved
disappointed.
it.
I'm not disappointing kids.
We already approved it in July. Yeah, based on, in my opinion, I thought it was a 24-hour event
It
again.
wasn't, last year it wasn't, so the.
Yeah, and last year I complained about the stipend too.
So what we could have is, we could have both the advisors
Advisor with
and Mr. Costa come in after the event to kind of talk about a bit of recap and share.
That would be
what was happening.
fantastic, Dean, thank you.
He'll be here in December, so he'll be able to speak about it then.
And I want a survey too.
And I want anybody with a ninth grade to bring their kid in.
All right, so am I,
It's not a hand-picked kid.
Eileen, am I just pulling 2, 3,
No,
20?
yeah, just the MOAs. No, just MOAs.
2, 3, 20, just want to clarify that.
Yes.
2, 3, 20, okay. Any other questions? We kind of killed this consent agenda.
Sorry. Okay.
We're good?
Yeah, no, no. We'll just-
Okay, so I need an all in favor excluding items 2, 3, and 20. Are you all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we're taking for a
Under
separate,
the rest. Those other ones.
now I'm
Separate
taking
votes.
2,
Can you put that on
3,
it?
and 20 for a separate vote.
Okay.
So I need a motion,
We had the motions.
You have the motion.
even for the
Oh,
separate,
but-
No, for the
we're
separate
voting
vote.
again
You need a
now.
motion for the second.
You need a
Okay,
motion for the
so number
separate.
For each of those.
Wait, I need the motion for items 2, 3, and 20.
Motion.
Second.
Okay,
Now we're gonna discuss those?
yes. No, you
Oh, we
can't.
can't.
You can't.
So then we just have to vote on them separately.
Correct. That's what we're pulling
Okay.
it. That's
Where's
what
the,
we just did. That was the,
Oh, that one's right off?
no.
Okay, all right, good.
All right, so do we have an all in favor for 2, 3, and 20?
Yeah, 2 is the. Yeah,
Summer,
so this is,
school, end of school year?
I didn't hear the rationale on this one, so I'm abstaining from this one.
Okay, so you're abstaining from which one?
The summer baby.
All right, so then why don't we, so, you can say it.
Separate.
So, all right, so we're taking, all right, so we have to do it individually. We're
Yes.
not doing an extension on all.
Right.
No, I'm abstaining from this one.
Number 2 is the CTA MOA on summer birthdays.
Okay, so I don't have a problem with that. I'm saying yes. So let's do a
right.
motion. You need a motion and a second, because we're doing them
We're
separately.
doing it individually.
Yeah, we already did.
So we're working on number 2. We have 1 yes.
Yes.
Jackie?
No, we don't need to vote.
I
It's
wasn't
number
here for
2,
this part.
summer,
Yeah,
very
I know,
Friday.
I'm trying to see.
We do it all the time.
That's the one that.
Want to go to an executive session?
Yeah, can we go to exec for 2 seconds?
That's a good
You should go into executive session just for a few
No, that's,
minutes,
I think.
just to get these clarified in your mind, so you
Yeah.
can go.
Because the one that I'm thinking of is a different one.
Okay.
We're gonna ask folks to the room, so that
Sorry.
we can get to executive session.
I came late to
Do
exec.
a second go to executive session.
I need a motion and a second to
Motion.
go into executive session to get legal counsel.
Motion.
Second.
Aye.
All right, so I'm gonna approve items 2, 3, and 20 because we already voted on the excluding. So I'm going to just, because we extracted, we have to vote it this way.
Right, sorry about that. Thank you for clarifying, appreciate it.
All right, so we have an all in favor for items 2, 3, and 20.
Aye.
Okay, we're moving on to Board of Education committees.
Well, I have some questions, not a committee. And I'd like to take the time to ask, but
I
that's my
have something
questions.
on ideas, Monica.
So wait, I said it first, and then you get to
If
ask
you
first?
talk too much, you
Too
don't
bad.
stop.
Too bad.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead, I'm good. I just wanted to point that out.
Monica, what's that doctor's name again?
Dr. Dewey,
Dr. Dewey?
we're waiting for a spring schedule. I've been in touch with the person who coordinates the schedule. It's my understanding that he teaches in the spring. He's looking into the end of,
Only spring teachers?
well, he teaches in the fall too, but the fall schedule's pretty close. But he teaches in the spring, so we're waiting for a spring schedule so that we can go to date. I did give a week that we were interested in, and I'm hoping to hear back in the next few weeks.
Okay, now let me ask you this question. Can't we do it the way, I think the best way to do it, as a layman, would be at the beginning of the year, when children first go into 6th grade. We got a whole survey, of what goes on starting in 6th grade. So just based on the survey, nothing before that. That should be shown to parents who are more willing to come before their child enters that school. Because they're more apprehensive when you're 6th grade mommy and daddy.
So you're looking to do it in the beginning of the school year.
Yeah, not next year, we have to do it,
So we're still
I
gonna do it
mean,
in the
this
spring.
year, we have to do it in spring.
And then we're also gonna try to do it in September as well, is what your request is.
September, or even right before school starts. Because those parents are more apprehensive and are more willing to come out. I don't know if we can do it before school, there's no teachers, so maybe once, initially,
I
when
think September.
the first day of school, the first week of school, they should have that. And, you know, and it should be written in such a fashion that every parent wants to come with their child.
I'll bring that to the middle school principals and we'll come back at the next meeting, the meeting after that, with some ideas.
Right, because just based on your survey that came to us, this has to be done at the beginning, and the only time you're gonna get a group of parents that large, when they're apprehensive about something, they're apprehensive about their kids' education and move to the sixth grade.
Your point is well taken. I think I'd like to ask the middle school principals about their meet the teacher nights and the September activities and see where it's best to place it in September.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna jump ahead of Eileen,
What the heck?
and I'm gonna ask just a little question, because I really need to get it out every meeting, because I want them to know that I'm gonna keep pounding until I get what I want.
Oh, I know what it is.
Where's my table, Dean?
So we're currently working with BOCES to see if we can have a funding BOCES. It's in the process we're in right now. I hope to have a resolution.
You want it?
For what?
in 5 days.
The one that leads
What?
I hope to have a resolution within the next 5 days.
Meaning, maybe you'll get a price, you'll get a PO?
We have all of that stuff in place. If we're able to purchase through a BOCES, it provides us a little bit more flexibility.
Like,
How soon can it be implemented if we get it this year?
The staff has raised, the staff has been meeting about this, applications, alignment to curriculum and certain things. They're worried that they feel, it's like getting a Ferrari, and they're worried about,
Going over the speed limit?
yeah, they don't, they're worried about making sure that they're using the Ferrari worth of the park.
Can't
but
drive
I'm sure it was probably like a smart board. You bring this in, you're like, oh my God, you know, and
I
then,
think that's the same thing, and there are things, it's similar to these cases we have in middle school right now, in the beginning, it was one of those areas where you were hesitant, and then all of a sudden you start playing around and you realize.
you get into second and third year, and you're like, ooh.
Right. Can I go now?
But, I'm sorry, but are they excited about this, the prospect of having this? Because, again, it'll be the one school on
Teachers are
that.
rule followers, and they want to make sure that they're going to use it to the best of their ability, so they're
If
encouraged.
we're not gonna use it, there's no sense in getting it, but we're gonna use it.
Take it easy, Tiger. Take it easy,
Those are
Tiger.
the facts.
No, they're gonna use it.
Jack.
They're
Let's
gonna
spend
use it.
80 grand, let's buy the bus, spend 80 grand.
Anyway, I know the kids will be very excited about it, and I think that, one of the things is being the one school in Long Island, to have at least Suffolk, that has that table, which I think is pretty cool, and I can't wait to see the kids.
Yes.
The kids are gonna use it, take it easy, Tiger. Yeah.
All right, my questions. The academy that we currently started this year? This year. How's it being paid
Out of the grant, special
grant.
education grant, yes.
for the special education grant?
It's out of the special education grant.
Thank you. I know we can't talk about the rest of the stuff, so we'll move on to that. Okay, I asked a question about, what are we doing to encourage children that are not college bound? And you gave me 11 answers, and now I got some follow-ups for that. And I didn't give them to you because I just saw the answers late this evening. There are some of them on here, and I'll just generalize. So, first of all, can you put this question up on the website especially? Good. Okay. A lot of these things like trade school visits, career speakers, it's through business classes. Typically, the kids that are taking those business classes are going on to college. How are we encouraging the kids that are non-regents or not taking those kinds of classes? How are we encouraging them? That was my question. I want to know the lost kids. I want them bound, and I want to encourage them to do this stuff, not just through a business class. What if they're not taking the business class?
And that's a different type of question.
Right.
So,
There's a lot of great things up here. That's why I want to post
yeah,
it.
and we're also,
But I want to find those
which
lost
I know
kids.
Mrs. Manzi will talk about was, I'll stop talking.
Yeah.
That's the only that's under Dean.
This is me with the kids again.
So we opened up, but we opened up to our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in middle school. Again, career exploration, a lot of things that we're
really thrilled it's not because of all the data that they collect, but that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, it is, Ed 2D compliant, so it's inclusive.
Yeah, but I don't like it.
So,
Standards.
so that's something else that we're doing, we're starting at the middle school age to start to generate those kinds of ideas. But we could definitely speak to Mr. Macaluso and
Yeah, I want to find out.
discuss how are we hitting the population that may not have a plan.
Right. Right, that's what I want to know. Hold on. And, you know, also, and I know I've said this on the other side of the microphone, that there were a couple of kids that I personally know in my son's level, and he's in his last year of college, so we're going to quite a few years ago now. They were actually discouraged from going to OCs because they were the kids that could have taken business classes, but really wanted to be an auto mechanic. But because of their grades, the guidance counselors back then were saying, look, you could really go to college and get this and that. That's not what they wanted to do. So let's encourage the kids with what they want to do. I want to know how we're doing that too. We can follow Mr. McAleese on that, that'd be great.
So making sure that it's actually.
Right, right. And we're not discouraging a child from going into auto mechanics if that's what he wants to do. That's a great field and you make a lot of money. You don't have to go to college, you go to
I think we've made a big shift.
I think so, but I want to hear it now. I want an update on that. Okay. Freshman awareness, I asked. There's on the agenda. The auctioneer, you put that question up there?
Yes.
Okay, that was a great answer, thank you. That was just for the public, that was about, we approved tonight an auctioneer. Well, how much does this guy cost? We read the contract, it was really weird. So, it doesn't cost us anything, it's when the seller, when the buyer buys it, the percentage from what the buyer goes to the auctioneer. So it doesn't really come out of our pockets, we actually do make money on any surplus.
Right, but up until a number of years ago, we used to just junk those.
I know, and that's when I asked about the scraps, and now we started selling, so I'm glad to see that. And where does that go in the budget?
That was my follow-up question.
Yeah, the revenue part.
Goes to the general fund.
It's just the general fund?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the top 2 or 3 bids we got. We'll go back to the beginning here. We did the academy. Oh, okay, and I did the security meeting already. Policy I did. Okay, that's it. I'm good. Done. Ta-da!
All right, so I have a question.
No, you already had to.
So I have a question. So, you know, I watch where our kids are going, where they're graduating, where they, so a lot of the schools that they're going to are not schools that visit our high school. So I understand that this year there's going to be a road trip for anybody, so that would fly to the juniors. Any of the juniors that want to take the road trip, and where are we going?
I don't want to speak out of turn, but I believe the school, that's the top one right now is St. John's.
Okay.
We're looking to do it in the spring.
So now would you provide that opportunity for Suffolk? Because a lot of our kids do go to Suffolk, so would that be an opportunity for them to get a little road trip there also?
We did discuss that with the guidance counselors and some of the high school staff, and they felt like this is well traveled at this point by most of our students. And they're very familiar with the campus.
Okay.
So when selecting a first trip, they felt like leaving Suffolk County and heading towards Nassau, Queens, the St. John's area was a great first place to go. Then to come back, see how everyone feels about it, and decide what, when, where should happen next.
So now, are we also trying to solicit schools that come here to set up in the hallways like we've done with other schools? I mean, if you look at where our kids are going, they're going to some really competitive, high-end schools. So we do have children that are applying to these schools, are going to these schools. So why aren't these type of colleges not more coming here more to talk to our students?
I'm most comfortable having Ms. Macaluso respond to that in detail. I will tell you that there's a circuit, and when a school comes out, they say they're coming to Suffolk County, they're coming to Nassau County, and they're able to visit a certain amount of schools. Not every school chooses to come out. I have started to put together a list of schools that come for on-site in Connecticut. Anybody who's willing to come, we really do encourage.
I did see that list, it was a little smaller than I expected.
I have another list for you.
Oh, perfect, perfect.
So we're continuing to gather the information that you requested, and I think we can share more out in coming days.
Okay, so now I'm going to go to the flip side. So kids who do go away, how many of them graduate out of the 2-year or 4-year? How many of them apply to away schools, end up coming back home? Do we have any tracking on that? I know we were considering on doing a tracking where our kids are ending up, or, you know, I can tell you right now, just this year, a few of the kids, I think the first week of school, they bailed out, came home. And I've been hearing that numbers go a little higher every year.
That's something that I would have to get back to you with. I don't have this information with me tonight. I do believe we have some of it, but not every question you've asked do I have an answer for.
But it was something we spoke about, Dean, right? You know, sort of doing a tracking, like, you know, where are they going? Are they, like, if they're applying for, say for Stony Brook, are they staying in Stony Brook for 4 years? Are they transferring out of 2? Are they going to the Cornell, same thing with Suffolk? Are they going to the Cornell? Actually, I would love to see that, those numbers. How many of them go to the Suffolk?
And the transfer after 2 years.
And make them 4 years. So that would be kind of cool data to look at. To see where our kids are going.
We will work on that.
Thank you. Oh, and by the way, that last presentation that Gail put out, I have to tell you that I did take a picture of the slides and I posted it out there. And there was a lot of, a lot of conversation, like why, well, the first question was, how do you know the kids were fibbing? How do you know they're being truthful in answering the questions? And I'm like, I didn't facilitate the test, you have to go and get directed to ask Gail Santos. But they were alarmed about the middle school numbers. They were, they, I guess, didn't think about those conversations of your 6th grader doing whatever it is. So it was definitely a talking piece. It was definitely a talking piece. I don't know, Linda, if you could send a better, maybe to your secondary parents of that slide, because I don't know if you can lessen the colors on it. It's a little bit hard to read. Maybe, I don't know, dull the colors a little bit so that this way the actual data pops a little bit more. Because, I mean, Myers not great. I'm like trying to look at the glasses, trying to really digest the data. You gotta like kind of, I don't know if the colors on the graph that are used.
We're gonna put up the presentation, but we wanted to scale it to 100 because we don't want people to look at the data and say, you know, if it's scaled to 30 and it goes to 25, it looks like it's 95.
Yeah, no, I know, I get that.
So we wanted to rescale because not everybody looks and says, oh my gosh, it's scaled to 30. So we asked Gail to rescale it to 100 so you can see the numbers are small.
Yes.
But it's too big, no matter what you do, and no matter what number you get,
But is it
even
the
one child
colors,
is too
the
big.
colors used? Because I know it's.
You'll be able to widen out your screen and look at it, you know, so it will be on the website as soon as we get all those changes.
But we'll look at the coloring of it as well.
Yeah, I thought the coloring was a little harsh.
Okay.
Also, I believe that there are questions built into the survey that speak to test reliability, so if students answer accurately, so certain questions may be presented in a certain way.
Well, I said
So that
that
it
to my
picks,
parents, yeah.
so it does pick up if a student maybe even false positive or a false negative.
Yeah.
Psychometrics built in.
And then, one last thing, Linda, I wanted to, compliment you on the letter that you wrote for the board to sign with the HPV. I have to tell you, a lot of districts are jumping on, parents are pushing their, in outside districts, so you definitely led the train on this one. Parents couldn't be more happy. And I know our parents, even outside parents, were like, now using your letter and forcing their districts to now, you know, be part of that. So I want to thank you for that. A lot of positive feedback and hopefully,
Actually, Mylon, you should thank yourself because you brought it up.
well, Linda, I gave Linda ideas.
And yourself.
Yeah, Linda,
It's like, and yourself.
Linda wrote the letter based on what I wanted her to write the letter. She did a great job.
Okay, can I ask something?
No, you may not.
Please, she's doing it for me.
I'm teasing, I'm
I'm
teasing.
doing it. Jackie brought this to my attention, so maybe Dean, you can listen to me, please.
Yes.
In the Connect What, extra, you know, which one did you get pulled out? The smaller one. You pulled it out of the smaller. The different clubs in each school, Bronx and versus OBM. What's the class size? Is there a big difference in both buildings?
90?
You know, not the middle school thing.
91 kids.
RMS is slightly bigger.
Yeah, 91 kids.
Okay, now, the question that Jackie really has is they have
Would Jackie just
1,
have a
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clubs
they have 12, OBM doesn't.
We spoke about that last year.
And OBM has 11 clubs.
How come Algonquin Middle School doesn't have the same amount?
So, wait, is this,
You can't get volunteers.
why is this, can you explain a little bit why?
I'll have to look into that.
Actually, I'm gonna give this to you.
Work, the elementary and middle school clubs, like that, it's the same exact number, so that
That's what I thought, yeah.
So we'll get you the names of all the clubs and.
Yeah, that's only a partial list, by the way. Jackie, just so you know. That's only a partial list. That's
On
just
the
the origin.
contract, just because they're on the contract doesn't mean that they're staffed. So as clubs have come and gone, you know, as kids' interests have waxed and waned, there's new clubs that are created and old clubs that are put aside.
We both looked at it, we both thought that bank interest looked great. That bank interest one is in one school. I don't know if the other school has it, but that looks like.
Well,
it
there's,
was-
So it has to be,
Yeah, I don't.
there has to be
that's
interest on the
interesting.
kids.
Reflection.
bank interest, isn't that interest on a bank account? It's not a club.
Yeah, it's bank interest.
No,
It's
it's not
actually
a
how much
club.
money was made by
Well,
the
we
money
just
being
have that down as
deposited.
a club.
No, it's not a club, it's the interest that they get on the bank
It's a
account for their
revenue,
funds. Yeah.
it's a revenue source.
I think those are the clubs.
We need a class for the board and financial reporting.
No, but there are, and there's still
101.
four. There's still
Wait,
four.
No, but there's, so based upon a student activity fund, there are certain clubs like your student government that generate funds, that either fundraise, and they have different charters for those schools, for those clubs. It looks like
They take
they
over
only
interest
list
as president.
the clubs that actually raise money.
Okay, but so there are other clubs.
Yeah, well,
Yes,
Yes,
it's only the clubs that have money in an account,
Right.
that's all.
I'll take care of it.
I just want to see what the list is of both, to see if there's
And,
similar.
and we get this list all the time, so when they do come, just have to make a few updates.
Okay.
All right, Linda, anything to report?
So we had our first meeting of the Community Security Committee. We had approximately 35 people in the room. We had about 60 who wanted to be in the room, but not everyone could make it that night. I think we had an opportunity for everybody's voice to get in the room. We asked for the pros and the cons, whether you were for or against, it didn't matter. I asked that, you know, if you're for armed guard, there's a con in your mind. If you're against armed guard, there's a pro in your mind. So I asked everyone to put on posters, a pro, a con, and then an opinion statement, which is not necessarily based in fact, but something that you believe, so a belief statement. The entire committee came up with questions that we were going to research, and the goal of the committee is to present to the Board of Education, maybe at the January 7th board meeting, but certainly no later than the January 29th board meeting, both sides of the discussion, all of our research, and then options of the different ways that the board might be interested in hiring armed guards or not, and give you just both sides of the story with all the different opinions and options. We sent out the entire list of pros and cons and the questions that were generated and the belief statements. They are also, if you go to board docs in the library, underneath the public section of the library, under the Community Security Committee, all of those documents exist. So if you were not a member of that committee, you can still see what was said and what was generated that night. Thank you, Jill, for giving me some research. We have quite a few people who've sent in research, and you know, the thing about being part of a school district is it needs to be fact-based and researched and not opinion-based. So we will be presenting eventually a PowerPoint, probably myself, will be presenting the salient points that we discussed. We will not be making any decisions, but we will be presenting to you the different options that are out there, including an option is none at all, and the costs to the taxpayer for that, and then the board can make a decision as to how they want to proceed from that.
I just want to ask Lee a quick question on this.
Yeah.
Well, you adamantly stated that you are against it. What if, and it's just supposing, what if the community wholeheartedly comes back and says, we want them, and that's it? Are you going to change your mind? Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Okay.
Well, right now, they're always speaking about.
All right, no, that was it. I don't, we just want to know if you had an open mind. That's all I wanted to know.
Our next meeting is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock in this room. And where we'll be looking at the
You're going to
research.
that one. You go into that, looking at the research that's come in, and if we haven't done a whole lot of research and don't have enough to talk about, I'm gonna put people on computers and have us start looking at research while we're there, and we'll start building our presentation.
Lynn said you're going to that meeting tomorrow night.
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
So I don't have all of the standings of our fall teams, but we were very, very successful this fall, as we always are. On Friday and Saturday, our drama club at the high school put on Neil Simon's farce entitled Rumors.
Can I interject for a second? I did not see that anywhere marketed on Facebook. I didn't even get an email. Usually I get like something, like advertising. I honestly, this kind of slipped out of nowhere. I didn't see until parents went to it that they posted about it, but I didn't see it prior.
It was on the it's on the calendar. It's on the district-wide calendar, but you're right, there was no ad.
There was no ad. I didn't see
You're
it.
correct. You're correct. Our girls tennis team made the playoffs, our football team made the playoffs, our girls soccer team made the playoffs, our boys volleyball team made the playoffs, our golf team made the playoffs. Our girls swimming and diving went to the qualifiers. Our girls gymnastics team is second in the county, and our individual competitors went to the qualifiers. I wish I had the results. I was waiting for them, but they haven't come in yet. That happened this weekend. You probably already know on Monday, our girls volleyball team are the AA Suffolk County champs. Tonight, I think it's at 8 o'clock, we may know who we're playing now. The Nassau County AA champs will be crowned tonight, and then on Saturday at Hopwood High School at 10 a.m., our girls will be in the Long Island Championship, girls volleyball against whoever won tonight. So it was a great fall for all of our teams, and we're looking forward to the winter season. That's awesome. That's awesome. Our cross country teams are excellent here. You know what? I don't have their results, so thank you.
Did we remedy, speaking of cross country, did we remedy that situation over at Lincoln?
Okay,
And now, adults.
Monica, Jean,
So I have a draft that I'll be sending out to the board regarding.
Put your microphone on, because that will be at your need.
I have a draft that I'll be sending out to the board about the ninth grade health curriculum and health initiative that we're looking to implement this year. It's something that we had talked about last year. I had mentioned it in a couple FYIs as well as past board meetings. We're looking to move we're looking to move it down to ninth grade. And it's a multi-year plan that Mr. Lorre, Mr. Costa, and Mr. Macaluso have been working on. So they're going to come and present at the next board meeting. But I'll send this home in the Friday FYI.
so let me ask you a question. In the health curriculum, do they talk about, I know they talk about the general STDs or whatever, but do they talk about HPV and how that's transmitted, considering that it has been, sort of a topic?
I think all of those sexually transmitted diseases are discussed in detail. Again, there's a shift, especially at the high school level, to move away from content. Knowing that smoking is bad for you and knowing that this is bad for you. It's more about decision making and life skills in order to put yourself in a position that you're able to make good choices for yourself. So that information is shared at the middle school and high school level, but again, the shift is to decision making and living a healthy lifestyle.
Okay, anybody else? All right, great. All right, I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to move into executive session, but we're going to take a 5-minute recess. Yes, exactly. All right, motion. Anyone making a motion and a second to move into executive session, 5-minute recess?
Oh, there's no second?
Oh my God, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, Deidre, thank you.
It's a lot of it now.
So what we were just saying about what would Lou do if the whole community came out and said, no, we want this to happen. How is the whole community going to know? We had the 35 people here, but how is the whole community going to know about
Yeah, but and
any
they
of
come
this,
out
to even know their
and they all
feelings
say
on it?
no, I'm gonna be open-minded too, I just want you all to know that. How are we promoting that out there?
So there's really two ways for the board to, if the board decides that they want to increase the budget to include armed security guards, it could be a line item, which would be embedded in the budget, which would be part of our budget discussion, or it could be a separate referendum. Provided that both referendums together do not pierce the cap, it would still be just a majority vote. So you could have the operational budget, and then you could have a standalone line item for armed security guards, which are over and above the operational budget. Or you could put it as a line item within the budget. That's one of two ways, really,
But I think what Deidre's asking is, how do they know about these meetings, get in on the discussion?
Well, how, when you say if everybody, comes out, the general feeling is no, really not many people know about
Well, it was
what's
publicized.
being considered.
What Linda's saying is the security meetings was publicized.
Yes.
Can I ask this question to Linda?
I didn't get it.
Can I answer this question,
Nothing about
Linda?
it, if not from
A majority of parents, would they come out of elementary or high school?
I don't know what age level, because I didn't really hear. I just got people from the community saying that they wanted to be part of the committee.
The community or just parents?
I knew nothing about it.
It was on our Facebook page, and it was an email that was sent to our parents.
I was told some parents, and some.
Do you think that knowing what grade level, elementary or middle or high school, also because a lot of times in elementary school, no disrespect, don't take it wrong, you get a lot of mommies buzzing around, and they'll be the ones that get it, because they're the ones that are talking at the bus stops and stuff, and talking about it. Where your high school, you're not going to get your high school parents because they're not at the bus stop buzzing about it, nor your middle school parents. So you have a tendency to get more elementary parents at that point.
I sent out an email to every parent.
I don't know if that's necessarily true, because in the past, most of the shootings have happened at high schools, correct?
It does happen, yeah, but it doesn't make those parents even know what's going on because they're not that involved. They're not reading.
I will say in the parent
There's
action
over 50
committee that I run on Facebook is of all ages. There's parents that
I'm just curious, I'm showing.
I don't know who is at the meeting, I didn't ask.
I
And I didn't ask what.
To me.
Can you ask all that?
No.
I'm just curious, you know,
Could be
because
a fact, you
Anybody
could ask
who
what
wanted to be
grade
in that
level you
committee, that
have.
room was invited.
I know, but that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking. They're mostly elementary parents there, or high school parents?
Who showed up.
I could absolutely ask that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I could ask that.
No, we had
Yeah.
a mix in the
I don't
room,
think
because
I
I
heard
saw
that.
I saw at least, no, but I'm saying I saw at least 5 or 6 high school parents. I know there were at least 5 high school parents in the room, I saw some. I'm just
You could ask, you know what, I could ask
No,
it
I'm
on
saying,
the sign-in sheet. If you have a child in the district, or what grade levels, I
And there were
absolutely
people
could.
who didn't have
But there was,
any-
I'm not sure that it makes a difference.
District there too, right?
Say again?
There were employees
Yeah.
at
There
the
were.
district, there were teachers.
There were teachers, there was administration.
And there was people that, there were people that were older, because I know
Yes.
that my dad had some phone
Okay.
calls.
Yes.
There were people that were.
I thought we got a nice
It was a
range, but I
mix.
never asked what kind of constituency they were from.
No, I'm not saying that.
I don't have kids here.
No, but I mean like the older generation, like my dad's age,
I know.
like Lee's age.
Thanks, I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that.
My other question then is, did you say earlier that it would just be blended in with the budget? It's not going to be a separate
It could go either
proposal?
way.
That's not what I said. I said that's up to the board to decide if they're going to fund it, where they want to put that budget item. They could put it in the operational budget, or they can do it as a standalone second referendum on the budget vote. They can do it either way.
And what would decide that for you, girls and guys?
I don't do.
I guess it's gonna be what, I would say it's gonna be all the facts, going over all what the community has to say. It's gonna go over threat assessment of what we have going on in the district versus what goes on in other districts. There's a lot of things that weigh
As far
in.
as the vote specifically, what's going to determine whether
I think
it's
it's
a
gonna
separate
be,
thing or it's kind of hidden?
I think it's gonna be between,
I don't
the
think we'll
five
hide
of us will
it.
have
I
to,
don't hide
it's
it.
not gonna be
What
anything
would be
hidden.
your reason to have it?
I wouldn't do it as a separate vote personally.
I think other districts are moving
line
towards it. Yeah, me too. I
It's a
think
line
when you look at other districts,
But I
other
would make them
districts are
public.
doing it. It's not like we don't have surrounding districts doing it. I can name them right now. Mount Sinai, Miller Place, Massapequa,
Doing one.
that have already on their guards and have.
I'm talking about the vote itself.
But I think that's
It's
gonna
a
be.
line item though, Deidre, in my opinion,
Me too.
that's just from
Me
a
too.
financial point. There's no need to spend the money for a referendum when it's an operational item. And we've been talking about it, came out of committee, and then I don't think, personally, I don't think that it needed, if it's what the community wants, and we had to add it to the budget, and again, this is if we have to add
Like
it to the budget.
other issues we've had.
I would
You
make
know
sure that it was
when
no.
people come out, they're, many times just gonna come in with yes or no for that budget and not really see or know what's buried in between.
Well,
So this is an important
we have to
topic.
publicize it, and if it comes out, if the board votes to put that money in, and however it comes out, but say they do vote to put that money into armed guards, I would put it, it's an operational expense, or security, it's a line item.
I will let you know that I
It's a line item, I'm not.
I am researching how other districts did. The district clerk along with myself today, we're trying to find out how every district across the island did it. If they did it line item, or if they did it, because that's what I was saying to you today. I was trying to find out for all of us, because more accurate information. We didn't get it yet, people are starting to hit us back with the information. But when we have it, we'll be able to share that with people, at least how it's done in other districts.
What others are doing.
Right, if more of them are doing it where it's in the budget, it makes more sense that if
Why
they did.
does it make more sense?
I like it better that way, because if you know if it's in the budget and it's something that is fitted in there and it's not piercing the cap and it's not bringing up, and it's very simple. If people have a problem with it, they have no problem coming to the board meetings and speaking about it. We can publicize it, but like Dr. Adams said, I got emails on my private email as a parent. I got the Facebook message that there's a lot of parents on there, but for the parents that aren't on there, if you have an email, everyone was supposed to get it. If you have a child in the district, or if you're in the district, because I think my parents got it too.
I got nothing. If not for a friend, I got nothing.
I mean, we had a really good turnout. It wasn't like.
Yes, we did.
We did.
But I still think that having it more out in the open captures more people's attention and opinions. Because not everybody, not everybody's obviously at meetings, and unless we're sending out
Absolutely, but I
or
also.
something saying, if it should come to this, that we're,
Oh, yeah, we're all doing our due diligence. trying to find out.
we have postcards coming out for other stuff. I think every parent needs to be aware that this is a possibility.
Absolutely. I think that most parents, honestly, I mean, I've been talking about it to everyone and anyone. I mean, I saw people in the high school the other day. I was talking about it openly. I was talking about it at elementary schools. I was at like 4 schools. I was talking about it with people in the audience that I saw.
You can't get the 6,000.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm just trying to move it like so people can make informed decisions with the accurate information, as opposed to what people Google and find online that's not always accurate.
So Deirdre, no matter how, if it gets into the budget, this year's budget, it would be in the budget notebook, which is absolutely mailed to every single household in the district, whether or not they have a child in the schools. So where the emails only go to the emails that we have, which are the children in the schools emails, that's why we put it on our Facebook page, that's why we put it on our website. But in the budget notebook, we always highlight changes in the budget, and this would be something that would be a change in the budget. So whether it's Proposition 1, Proposition 2, or operational Proposition 1, and we would explain what the changes are. We always do that in the budget notebook.
All right, thank you.
Dean, this is for you. In those health class changes that you were talking about, are coping skills in there? Okay, that was my question. Because I think that's like a big, I noticed as a parent of a high schooler, and I try to instill those, but a lot of friends noticed a big lack of that. Eileen, what you brought up earlier, the introduction of trades and trade schools, could that be something, does every student in the district get technology class? That would be a good place to maybe have that introduced, because they teach like wood shop and stuff like that would be, for me, a good place to introduce trades.
They don't do that in high school, they don't do that in seventh grade.
It's mandated in the seventh and eighth grade curriculum.
Well, if that, at that point, it used to, we don't know if they don't go to trades or not, they don't really don't know that classes in seventh grade.
It's not a mandated part of the high school, but technology and that hands-on.
But there's some students in high school take technology.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
We have a very robust program here in Cape
Yeah. So maybe that's somewhere to be incorporated, just food for thought. And then also, I just want to remind everybody,
And then, for lack of a better term.
the SEPTA movie fundraiser is November 23rd. We only have like maybe 15 tickets left.
I'm going.
They sold like hotcakes, yeah. So if anybody did want to go and want to see Frozen 2, send in your tickets immediately because it's coming up very quickly and we have very limited quantity left.
Oh, yes, you know,
Well, that's great.
you know
November
what I want to
23rd.
also bring up? That's a good one, I'm going to that. And the Winter Wonderland. I love the Winter Wonderland a few years ago at OBMS. I think I'm posting it everywhere on Facebook. I'm more excited than my kids are. The lights and Snoopy and all the great stuff. So
Great stuff.
we really need to push it. You know why? Because I think it's great for everyone. People who've never gone to it, I'm like telling elementary school PTAs they should get involved because it's such a good thing. It's a free thing that the high school does for all the districts. And I love that it's not at one of the middle schools. It's at the high school this year.
Yes.
It's gonna be beautiful. I can't wait. I'm gonna be there from the beginning to the end. And I'm coming to SEPTA
That's
too.
okay?
I'm looking forward to seeing Frozen.
Little kids. Yeah, how do you know if they're in the district? All right, I don't care, it's for
No,
kids.
but it's beautiful. No,
It's for
they
kids, I'm good.
said they don't.
It was all over Long Island the first year. We had people from Sadeville, we
I
had
loved
people
it.
from
Yeah,
Study Slip, we had
loved
people
it.
from all
We went.
over.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm gonna put you in Miss Claus.
I can't wait. I might come in my
I
own
do have
outfit.
one more question. Do we, when there's votes, is there ever any votes and voting done when there are students in school?
Yes, there are.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Write to your board of elections and complain like I did.
Well, I know there's other districts that now have parents really advocating to remove voting from
But it's
schools.
not up to the school. We're
It's
mandating. No, no, the Board of Elections
Board of
tells you you
Elections.
have to do this, and you have to, you have no choice.
So there's nothing,
No, you can write to your Board of Elections like I did.
Do I give
They
kids
ignored me,
in
but
the
if we get
libraries,
everybody to do it.
party houses?
and try to get it removed.
We do it every year. We advocate, the Superintendent's Association advocates every year.
Yeah.
We're locked down, we let nobody in, we scan licenses, and then a couple times a year we open the doors and go, come on, come on.
That's
Yep.
Yes,
regarding
we do it.
security
We do
and
it
the
all
whole,
the time, Jill. We advocate all the time.
so.
And you're not allowed to ask them for their license when they come in.
Right.
Although they did it.
But that's another, you know, Lisa just made a good point. New York City closes their.
Kids back.
No, I don't think it's that way. You know, New York City downtown.
Right, I know.
It did. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
See, you know, that's not even a bad idea. New York City closes their schools on election day.
We have a parent-teacher conference on election day, but you're talking about primaries, you're talking about special elections. We'd be closed 5-6 days a year, because we never get enough hours in.
All right, I need a motion and a second to move to
Motion.
executive session.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.